everyone, Cat Demon 43, and back with another episode of The Letter. And before I talk about what happened last time, which was a while ago, I wanted to let you guys know why it took so long to post another part, and also why there was a lot less editing in that one than previous. And it was because of the first time I was trying to edit the episode, I'd gotten halfway through my computer decided to do a force restart in itself to do updates and everything, and that was fun. The second one, there was just, my computer was just deciding to freak out, and it was just being really annoying, and I couldn't edit. So I was like, okay, you know what, to heck with it. It's been so long, I'm just gonna do bits, edit certain parts of it, and post it as is, even with all of my mistakes. And if that's not what you guys are okay with, and I understand, but I was just so frustrated. I wanted to get this out. The other thing is that the reason why I've been gone so long is that I've been editing my book, trying to get through that, along with doing a lot of the historical research, and also trying to submit to literary agents and looking at publishers that might be interested in my book. But it's like hitting a brick wall, essentially. So, yeah, there's that. And I'm also trying to see going back to school. I've mentioned this before, but now I'm trying to make more of a collaborative effort and looking to go back, as well as trying to see about jobs, too. So, yeah, fun. But besides life and how all that gets in the way of things, in the last episode, we had a bit of a reprieve from all the horribleness and the ghost, and just everyone's alive. People we care about in this game are alive, and that makes me happy. So I'm just gonna get right into it. Yeah. Oh, and also if you do end up hearing a click sound every so often, I got myself a new mouse. So there's that. I finally got a new mouse and it works. Yet even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of late afternoon and eventually night, none of this still makes any fucking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than where we ever been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the streets of paper I've been holding smacks the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and everyone simply falls silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it! There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of the optimism right now, I guess.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them?
You were kind of in a rush.
I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper.
Not so dumb if it can kill all of us.
Yeah.
Very funny, Z-Man. Anyway, like I said, you discovered that paper right before the open house. No one else was allowed inside during that time. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean Marie.
I thought it was pronounced Jean. Huh. Again, he's from America, but he's been living in England. Name pronunciation. But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay, they went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is
Shouldn't we look into the mansion too? That's where the letter came from. That's where she came from.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just as the professor says.
He did tell me there might be more to this than what I might be thinking.
Oh my god, I just realized I'm at 5%. What the hell?
Yeah. I mean, look at all this stuff Rebecca brought with her. Apparently our teachers have been lying to us all these years. So who knows?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Quietly, Isabella reaches for one of the papers Rebecca has brought with her and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newsprint from even before the city had been founded. Her eyes narrows with each line. Bleh. Her eyes narrow with each line it passes, but lingers at the illustration on the noblewoman's servant.
Why do they have to keep this in the restricted section?
Yeah, that is a good question. Rebecca merely shrugs at her inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her answer.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as a matter of fact. If it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it.
Sorry guys, my cat startled me.
Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Why else would these tell a completely different story? Revising what's written seems a useless endeavor on its own, when you have nothing to gain from it. But this might as well mean what happened in the mansion years ago also equates into all of this. And the letter Isabella found? It's at the heart of it. I think it's actually more of the ghost than the... yeah. The why and the how is what we're missing here. If I'm going to go by what Andrew told Zach, the connection between the letter and the mansion's curse may run deeper than what we've initially thought. We won't be able to figure this out without looking into the other. Fuck. How do I? The mansion's a private property now. We can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. The one thing's very clear after the last 2 days, however. We're not safe. Anywhere. And I have to act fast if I want to keep my friends alive. I can't keep running away. Sooner or later she'll get us. Before that happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything to sink in, or else we'll burn out. I know I will. And it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in their eyes as they look up at me, waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few...
God damn it! The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh booming noise rending through the eardrums of everyone in the room. All at once, the three of them are on their feet, while I quickly palm for my gun on the table. However, before I can pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the four of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
Ashton, that might be...
Gather everything.
No questions asked. They waste no time getting to work, pulling up the documents we've been reading through. Even Isabella is usually silent as she gathers everything in her arms, her own movements sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hardened and urgent overshadows it. That moment doesn't last. Before I can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Uh-oh. It's at the window! It's at the window! Suddenly, the lights out in the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles, as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and release the lock from my gun. I'm no trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this'll work on the ghost. I don't think so. But right now, its smooth surface against my palm, the trigger on my finger, provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing?
I don't think that's a good idea. We should just...
Worried as they all are, they immediately stop at the slightest raise of my hand. But the edge is there while they all huddle in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, they have enough time and space to run from their position. 2 deep breaths. I've crossed the rooms and stood in front of the closet. It was a door. Oh god. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Inside has now moved to banging at the door, louder and louder. And longer I dally. Another shallow breath. I glance at my companions. And a nod. Something creaks. Oh. Then, in the next moment, my grasp at the handles and swinging the doors wide open to reveal... nothing. I hate you. Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it, and still none. No, honestly, it makes me grateful that I am a very superstitious person, because people say, like, oh, there's no monsters in your closet. Yeah, no, when you hear stuff like that, no, you book it. Out the door. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whoever's inside. Not to mention, I think I would have a hard time being cramped in there. Confused, I glance back towards my companions, only to see them mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up, and that my head's now making things up. No. If everyone else is hearing it, you're not making it up in your head. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. The next second, I bark orders and...
We should go. Everyone, we need to...
I'm sent sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. Oh no. The resulting fall knocks the wind out. Pain racks my whole spine and the back of my head as it collides against the floor, with force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. Oh god. A moment lasts before her stares fade from my vision. And then, I sense it. I hear it! Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles, the smell of vile rot assaulting my nose, nauseating, sickening. A foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I've heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Hi! Oh, we're back! Oh my god, no! Perhaps it's just an experience. Run! Or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, the The whole of my body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. It's in the manner her gaze bores on me, I'll say. The look of utter hatred and malice I've seen it loads of times. Ugh. From suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be the
Ashton! Snap out of it!
"Thank you." No. I can't die here. Not yet. The haze fades from my mind and the instant kicks in, and then and there.
Everyone out! Get out! Get out of here!
Oh god. With one powerful tug, I yank my foot out of her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wails she fills the room with. Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing the wrist of the first person in my hand I can reach, leading everyone outside. Into the hallway. Down the flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring on the gas pedal the second the last person closes the door behind them, and in a short while I'm driving us out of Samwell. I don't even enter the thought of winding down just yet. Just as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. Spooky music, I know, I don't care. Okay, okay, I already read that. Here it is. With the help of his friends, Ashton tried to find a way to free themselves of the curse, piecing together what they currently know. Before they could figure it out, a ruckus coming from Isabel's closet broke the silence of the room. Yeah, no kidding. October 31st! Yay! A dreary downpour starts off the Monday. Although it doesn't last for more than an hour, the dark clouds lift just after the sun peaks over the horizon. Brief as it is, the rain has significantly dampened the park's usual cheery vibe. Mornings like this often mark the start of another bad week. An arrest gone wrong, another investigation leading to a dead end, or some truly fucked up shit being called in. Yeah, no kidding. Like the one time I was dispatched to a scene where a guy gouged his own eyeball out and almost ate it. Ew, gross. Was a few chews away from swallowing it, in fact. Lost my dinner that day.
Fun times.
Of course, I doubt anything can top getting cursed by a damn chain letter, of all things. This is the sort of stupid thing people pass along as a prank through emails and text messages, for fuck's sake. A ghost chasing after you just puts the icing on the cake. So far, all we've done is run, snoop about, read stuff, and run again. It frustrates me to no end how we're still no closer to an answer. Even my car reflects the state of my mind it's in. Lots of stuff. Photocopies of documents litter every available surface. Scattered all over the place, spilling from the passenger side and into the back seat, making an entire mess of what little space there is. Not that I'm any better. My last shower was 24 hours ago. I haven't slept at all, and my last meal was that chocolate porridge thing Isabella offered. The way I am now, I'll definitely get a scolding. What? Rebecca will definitely give me an earful and tell me to take care of myself better. Say that I'm killing myself on the job. I think in this point, she can let you slide because, you know, ghost. I can already hear Isabella complaining how dark the bags under my eyes are getting, and about how I reek and how I need to shower pronto.
I can rest easy when this is all over.
Yeah. It's not that I can't feel the pang of hunger. that woman chasing after you, it's difficult not to feel anything other than horror. The rush of adrenaline courses through my veins in my desperation to survive. In fact, I can still sense the ghost of her touch from last night. Her bony digits wound tightly around my ankle, and that horrid smile she has on her as she pulls me closer. The memory is enough to send a shiver up my spine and make me antsy. Perhaps the only thing comforting about this is the sight of my gun nearby. I don't think your gun will save you, honestly. I mean, granted, Rebecca chucked a book at the thing, and it seemed to do something, but it only bought you time, so... From my dashboard, sunlight glints off Ophelia's surface. Oh, he named his gun Ophelia. Ophelia is a good name, though. Normally, I keep it hidden in a compartment. Luxborn police regulations only allow authorized people to carry firearms, and even those are limited. I do have that authorization. You are a police officer. But I never really saw the need for its use, when the standard issue tasers are more than good enough to incapacitate anyone. But tasers can also kill people, too, if you're not careful. Really, anything can kill you if you're not careful. If not, I can always throw them on their back. Those judo lessons Dad forced me to get as a kid has its uses, too. On a ghost, though, all of those will probably yield the same result. They're all useless. I might as well use a stick. Or a book. However, it's the feeling of ease I'm after, or what little of it I can gather from it. The awareness that I, at least, have something to protect myself with in the case things go wrong. That I can still protect the people who are still depending on me despite the missteps I've taken. Doesn't take the edge off, though. The feeling that your whole body has been strained far beyond its capacity. Frankly, I'm already running out of steam. The only thing pushing me right now is knowing someone's still depending on me. A stretch is still in order, though. A stretch is still in order. Stretch? Yeah, a stretch is still in order, though. I've been sitting here since last night. Soon I step out from my car, closing it behind me with a thud as I take in my surroundings. The rain did wonders. The morning air feels crisper and cooler than it has ever been in days. For once, the weather seems to be taking a turn for the normal. Luxborn's normal. In the distance, beyond the buildings lining the horizon, dark clouds are billowing in.
A storm might be due this evening, give or take.
Yep. A shame for the people looking forward to Halloween tonight. I'm just not sure this is something I can look forward to as well. Still, I bask in the change it brings. Inhale, exhale, breathing in, taking in the peace, as if it'll be my last. But as with all the good things, the quiet shortly comes to an end. Not necessarily a bad end. The chatter reaches my ears first, halting my movements. Sure enough, when I glance up, I find them. Zach, Rebecca, and Isabella. Just as they've entered the park grounds, bags of convenience store food in hand. After last night's flight from Samwell, we've elected to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will still be safe. Normally, we'd all be advisors to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted that decision. It's not like any of us has gotten an ounce of sleep anyway. On the off chance one of us did, it only lasted but a second. Or a fitful one. Or it's a futile one. Yeah. But looking at them right now, from afar, it's easy to mistake them for just a group of friends on a day out. Isabella's gesturing wildly with her arms as she talks. Something funny or amusing, probably, because it's soon followed by Zach's booming laughter and Rebecca's giggles. Their voices fill the atmosphere with light air, temporarily easing off the disheartening mood. It's easy to pretend we're not knee-deep in a life-and-death situation that they're acting now. If anything, it's only their appearance that betrays that mask. Slightly disheveled, bags under their eyes, an exhausted curve in their shoulders, and dragging footsteps. The closer they get, the more obvious these signs are to the naked eye. Zach tosses an energy drink my way the moment the distance allows it. Isabella hands me the other bag she's holding, before seating herself on the edge of the fountain. Food! The scent of warm food immediately wafts from the bag when I open it, carried further by a passing breeze. Is that saying energy sheep? Oh my gosh, it says energy sheep. Energy sheep. Forget Red Bull. Whatever sweet sauce that drizzling over this pork wannabe, it smells heavenly. Hell, even the sorry-looking vegetables seem appetizing. Despite myself, without even checking exactly what this is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought. I dig in without waiting for them to start. The rest of them appear to be a bit of the same mind too. Soon enough, they also start with theirs. No casual talk while we fill our empty stomachs. Exhausted as we all are, food is something we can't forego. Starvation dulls the thinking, weakens the body. If we are to survive this, we're going to have to take care of ourselves first. In a matter of minutes, we're done and dumping the empty cartons on a nearby waste bin, along with it the shift of the mood. Back to dismal, back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from a minute ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I've missed these kinds of moments between us. We never had the chance, always busy on some project or work, and things we've taken for granted, now we're realizing how valuable they are. The world has an awful sense of humor. It does. While the one we've just had is short-lived, it's another thing I want to look forward to. If we ever free ourselves from this damned curse, I'd like to believe there's a way. For now, we have to focus back on the present. This. Dead people. The letter. The curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but necessary.
What now? Where do we go from here?
It's not a question directed at anyone in particular, but they all look to me as if my face has all the answers in the world. I used to think so, back when I was at the top of my game, and I'm still sure of everything. Now, there's just uncertainty, sullying whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has simply stopped working here, and we've started grasping at straws. Along with exhaustion, fatigue, and stress, we have enough kindling to get a fire burning. Whoa. The non-so-pleasant kind of fire.
Well, first, we can't just stay here. That much is obvious.
But we can't just keep running like this either, Becca. Sooner or later, she'll...
As if we have a choice. We can't even go back to our own homes because that thing might get us. Nowhere safe. But dying is the last thing I want to do right now, Isabella. Not to a stupid chain letter you were too gullible to pick up, bring with you, and show to everyone.
Oh dear.
I didn't do it on purpose. Becca, had I known, I wouldn't have...
Hey, you two! None of us want to die to this. Just calm down. We ain't getting anywhere shouting at each other.
Whose side are you on, Zachary?
No one's. But we can't just say it's her fault. She did warn us not to open it, and both you and Ashton...
That doesn't exempt her from any blame. She's still largely responsible for it.
And you're not?
Oh boy. Oh dear.
I didn't say that! Do you really think I don't blame myself for this as well?
I tried to warn all of you. None of you listened. Now you're blaming me for something I kept telling you guys since day one?
Yeah.
You're just as responsible for this as I am.
So now you're throwing it back at us? We wouldn't even be having this problem if you're...
Will you two cut it out? This ain't the place for I don't know, petty squabbles.
Oh, that's a new portrait. He looks very mad.
If you don't want to get caught in it, then stay out of this, Zachary.
Oh no, Zach. Don't stop her. Let her say it. I'm sure she has plenty more to say. If I didn't know any better, she's already.
Already what? You want me to say it? Out loud? That I find you in this whole thing?
All right, that's enough! Everyone, shut up!
They all falter to silence at my words, and an awkward, stifling mood descends between us. I do not mean to shout, to snap at them, to add that kindling. Not in a moment, when any time, anywhere she might get one of us. We're all in the same boat, yet here we are, playing the blame game. Yeah, it gets you nowhere. Nowhere fast. Little by little, we're falling apart, caving into the pressure, to the bleak situation we're trapped in. Did that ghost mean for this to happen? To divide each of... I think it's supposed to be us. Each of us, so she can pick us off one by one right after? Who knows? Anything's possible. For now, if her kind can exist. Anything's possible now if her kind can exist. The fire burning between us, rising as higher as it does now, I'm afraid. Deathly afraid. The possibility might come sooner, and I can figure all of this out. Fuck. I still can't think straight. I can't believe the next words coming out of my own mouth. That, out of everyone, I have to be the one to say these to them. This is more than their fault than mine. Keeping the peace, placating everyone, while I unfortunately aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have been turned just after one unfortunate incident. How am I even supposed to cope?
If we all want to get out of this mess in one piece, we're gonna have to cool our heads first.
Before my own temper flares, I walk away and slide back into my car. Creepy music is back. After spending the night at the local park, Ashton and his friends tried to figure out what their next stop will be. However, coupled with fatigue and stress, the conversation quickly went downhill. Frustrated, Ashton walked out, suggesting they cool their heads first. The door slams with more force than needed. I'd like to blame it on the pent-up anger boiling up in me. I'm not even sure what or who I am angry at. The ghost? At them? Or maybe at myself for being this useless. Because despite none of them saying it, I know, goddammit. They're still counting on me. In spite of my failures, of every harsh word I've uttered, or how unbearable I can be as a friend. It's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks, and one by one, they follow me and get into the car. It's in concerned glances they shoot my way when I start the engine without a word and drive off. It's in their silence, the heavy gift, their unwavering trust. It's one I'm more than willing to carry, even though my own exhaustion, if only to keep them safe. In this city of 68,000 strangers, they're the only ones I have left. Through all the seriousness, a good rest is still our best bet for now. Thinking with an exhausted brain, it's almost as good as running around in circles. We might as well just throw ourselves at the ghost and be done with this. Oh, heading to the local Irish pub. The local Irish pub may be not the best place to hang around when no one has slept in a wink or when you're stressed. Often than not, it's loud. Sometimes the music played by drunkards grates the ears, and the whole place smells like piss on a bad day. Ugh. All in all, it's very definition of the last place I'll hang around after a wakeful night, but it's safe. Or as safe as it can be with G's scrutiny watching the place, making it easy to find help in case you find yourself in a tight spot. The place being owned by a person I've impectfully placed my trust on provides some semblance of comfort too. Gregor, bartender G, or just G to his regular patrons, might be rough around the edges. Gregor's a good name. I don't know why, I like that name. Sometimes a bit too gruff for a man serving drinks behind the counter, but he belongs to the good folk of the city. If there's anyone in this place I can rely on to look after people important to me, it's probably him. He means well, surprisingly, despite his surly demeanor, cares to some extent for people he likely only sees once or twice a week or on a bad day. Not the best job in the world, in my opinion, but that's exactly it, isn't it? In wine, there is truth. True. Alcohol, in this case. It loosens the tongue, forces one to let his or her guard down. Whether inhibitions anyone has, it all flies straight out the window after a few glasses. It is true. It has made him observant, too. Always has one or two things to say about someone or something. Most of the time it's me. Opinionated ass. But God knows how many times I've asked for his help. When I'm met with a dead end in a case or I'm in trouble. This time's no different. Peace at last, thank you. As expected, the moment we show up, he's kind enough to offer us a room at the back of his shop. A single look at my face, I don't even need to say anything. The next thing we know, he's leading us in. No questions asked. Maybe it's also for this reason why I find myself drifting towards his station hours later, after having gotten that much-needed shut-eye. Newly washed drinking glasses and tumblers line the counter surface when I enter the room. Behind the bar, G's busy wiping each of them clean, likely prepping for its tonight's use. Briefly, he glances up at me. Once I claim one of those empty stools and grab a rocks grass glass. Why can't I read? Briefly, he glances up at me. Once I claim one of the empty stools and grab a rocks glass sitting close to my elbow. Turning it absent-mindedly in my palm, just to keep my hands occupied while my brain's busy, still trying to make sense of everything. Even at a dead hour, with only a few patrons milling about, this place still smells strongly of liquor. Honestly, I've never grown fond of it. Regardless of how many times I've made a trip or sat here, on that same spot, just talking with the old man. I've never been fond of drinking in the first place. Yet, oddly, it's the nasty odor of a brewery that helps clear the mind this time. True. A little story. And it's weird because I can relate very well to this, and it's the fact that whenever my mind feels so cluttered and muddled, like I've got cotton in my head where I can't think straight when I'm trying to work on something, I actually found a bit of alcohol, not like a ton. I don't really drink a lot to begin with, but I find if I do end up drinking some alcohol, it actually helps clear out all that clutter in my head. And yeah, it's really weird. Again, I don't drink all that much. I'm not sure if you can consider it a bad thing, but it helps, so I guess there's that. Anyway. Along with the lack of establishment's usual hubbub and the occasional clinking of glasses. Even more bizarre is that through my lack of words, G doesn't say anything. Although it's clear from the way his mouth has curved up into a tight frown that he has questions, a bucket load of it. He wisely keeps it shut. Instead, he simply focuses back on his work. Rinse, wipe, stash away, repeat. Going through the motions with such familiarity, it's almost a trance. Watching his precise movements quietly like this, with those thoughts swimming inside my mind, in my head, it's easy to lose track of everything around me. One solid lead on this, one possible way to sort this out, but will it work? Especially if my assumption's correct, and that the reason Zach was there yesterday morning was because of the curse. Something must have happened there for him to see the need to visit that place that morning. What if a couple have fallen victim to the curse too? It doesn't fall outside the realm of possibility. I've been so biased, not even thinking that they might be in danger as well. But during the open house with Isabella, they might have seen the letter and... fuck.
Stupid, stupid, stupid. Some fucking detective I am.
Buddy. That's likely the moment when Cooper saw it. If the logic holds, I need to hurry there right away. And if there are answers anywhere, it would be there. It should be there. Where all this fucking mess started. It's not only my life on the line here. There are others. What happened to us, I won't wish on anyone else, no matter how much I loathe them. Or how complicated all of this has suddenly become. The letter. The woman. The mansion. And now there are the voices, lacing venom inside every crevice in my head, murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deter whenever an opportunity presents itself.
It's because you didn't listen.
What?
It's all your fault.
Oh, that's Zach and Rebecca's voice.
Why won't you believe me?
Oh. Reminder of what I failed to do and of who I failed. At some point, they all began to blur together, twining and coiling, every horrid image and memory of her seeing the forefront of my mind. No matter how much I refuse to remember the fear I felt then, to push it as far back as I can, the visions come to me like a deluge. And before I know it, before I can drown, another voice pulls me out of it.
You doing good there, boy?
His hand on my shoulders, gripping it tightly and giving me a light shake. Hey, buddy, I still think you're somehow related to the constable guy. Yeah. You know what I mean. There's a relief in his face when I finally look up at him, although his frown appears more distinct than the concern in his eyes. It's deeper now, marred with worry and agitation. He does let go when I offer him a small nod, but the furrow between his eyebrows never leaves his face. He always has a knack for reading people, after all, even someone who can be as closed off or distant like me. In all the time I've spent in the force, there's only one other person who's as keen as this old guy, the chief. Funny. And weird, to some degree. Yeah, I really do think he is the chief. I've pointed it out to him so many times before how much they look alike, only for the observation to be brushed off with a Vermont tone. I've never brought it up again after the third time out of respect for the guy. Whatever it is, It's clear it's something that he doesn't want to talk about. Maybe they're twins? Or brothers? Somehow they gotta be related, because they sound exactly the same. And they do look similar, but... yeah. I do recall the fact that when I first started playing this game, they looked very similar. And I thought they might be related. I thought it was the chief, but... brother might be more precise. Why push, right? However, during times like this, it's impossible for the thought not to come up. Even as his glare... oh. He even has the glare down pat. Under his wordless scrutiny, I feel like a damn rookie again.
You're looking a bit green. Sure you got plenty of rest back there? You were only out for an hour or two. Wouldn't hurt to try and get some sleep. I'll keep an eye out.
No need. Don't worry about me.
Oh.
I won't be able to get some sleep anyway.
Yeah, ghost chasing us and everything. Not with her face. Still a clear picture in my head. No.
I heard that from you before. Not buying it. What's the story this time? This as bad as that case with the guy who ate his own eyeball?
I wish it were. Jesus, stop reminding me. I hated that case. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you get a kick out of telling people about it.
It's useful, you know, for blokes who don't know their limits. Sends them right out the door after I start with a description. Or was it the part when the poor schmuck gouged his eyes out? Nasty, awful, icky stuff, and it gets the job done. Like I said, useful.
True.
Don't even need to call security these days if I want to kick someone out. Anyway, pretty sure that pales in comparison to whatever this is now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you this stressed out since I closed that case. The one from 10 years ago with your professor friend.
Abigail and her team weren't able to solve that one, G. No one has been able to. It just went cold.
A lot of cases are like that. It sucks.
Same difference. But what do I know, eh? I just serve drinks, listen to people's problems and their whining, then make sure they get home safe afterwards. Thing is,
What?
I'm also not blind, kiddo.
What?
And you can bet your ass I can tell when a person's about to fall apart.
What? Is this some form of therapy from you? Are you going to offer me free drinks now?
Well, sure. Right when I take a drink, I have to read. Really, I can use some right now. Something to numb the something to numb the senses. But when has that helped anyone?
In your dreams, kid. Last time someone gave you the hard stuff, your photographer friend had to haul you out of this place almost half naked.
What the hell? Also, that's funny. Also, he has a nice smile. I just noticed that.
Hey, I can handle my liquor when I put my mind to it.
Uh-huh.
Not from what I've seen, nope. Besides, you usually avoid drinking. Either way, it's out of the equation. And when booze no longer counts, we just talk. So, talk. It's not like anyone within earshot will care. That chap over there only wants his cricket matches.
I doubt you believe it, G.
I've heard worse stuff. Try me.
You know that mansion down at Anslem?
Yeah, who doesn't? You live in this town long enough, it's impossible not to hear a thing or two about it. Bloody locals.
Well, my friend found a primitive version of a chain letter in there. Now that we've seen it, we're cursed.
A beat passes. For a long moment, G stands there, unmoving. His hand stops short of placing the glass he's been wiping prior back on a rack on his left. All while he stares at me with eyes that are nothing short of scrutinizing. He probably assumes I'm joking. Who wouldn't? Not a week ago, I've been put in the same position. Yeah. Even now, in spite of things I've seen and heard, it simply won't sink in. Or maybe this is just desperation creeping in? The idea that I may not be able to find a way out of this? Whatever the case is, the people who haven't experienced what I'm going through, this will merely sound like an awful Halloween prank.
It's not a prank.
This must have been what Isabella felt the whole time we made fun of her that day.
This isn't a prank! I
nothing.
Yeah. Now you know how it feels, Ash. Take that, you jerk. Now it's too late. We're stuck in a never-ending nightmare, where the only way out might be death. And like I've expected, G's reaction to it? Amused laughter. It booms throughout the whole pub after a long bout of silence, like I've just told him a particularly funny joke.
Okay. Good one, kid. You don't want to spill. No one's forcing you. Seriously, though. Good one.
Although I want to be angry with him, I can't find it in myself. Can't even muster the energy for a scowl or a glare. Nothing but a taste of my own medicine to tamper the annoyance bubbling up in me, I suppose. In the end, echoing her words is the best I can do.
It's not a joke.
Yeah, all right. Good luck with that. You're on your own. Here I thought you didn't have an ounce of humor in that body. Guess I'm wrong.
He shakes his head, lets out another chuckle before returning to his task. By now, almost half of the glasses have been put away. The only ones remaining are the smaller kind used for shots and stemmed ones for cocktails. Despite being busy with his task, his amusement does not entirely disappear from his face. He keeps talking, as if I'm simply another customer he entertains with his stories. But we both know it's more than that, if the wistful expression on him says anything.
Man, can't believe you're the same rookie who walked in here almost a decade ago. Too smart for his own good, that boy. Has always been 2 steps ahead of things. Now he's here, sulking.
I must have screwed up somewhere then.
I must have screwed up a lot. For things to suddenly shift like this, for me to become a mere shadow of the person I used to be.
No, I don't think so. This one, screwed up? Not by a mile. It's too early to say. You've still got several years ahead of you, Holmes. Take it easy. But some things change, eh? It has been years, and you were a kid back then. You know, the sort that's a bit unsure, making all the horrible decisions in life he'd eventually be embarrassed to talk about.
You never stopped calling me kid, though.
Well, you still are. It's just that this time, you're sure of who that badge and gun is for. What was it you police types usually say? To protect and serve, yeah?
A significant pause follows at its heels. From both of us, as he allows its meaning to sink in and spur something in me, stirring a feeling both heavy and forceful, but not completely unwelcome. Familiar. Though before I can even clarify what he's trying to imply or gather my thoughts on the matter, G turns away and begins his work on the silverwares. Okay. After the argument at the park, Ashton took his friends someplace where they could rest. G welcomed them to his pub without question. When the others were sleeping, the detective and the bartender had a little chat about the past and what changed over the years. He'll need those too. Once more of his patrons come in for lunch. Slow and easy. Sharp contrast to the strained air we've been wading through these past weeks. A fleeting moment, but one I allow myself to relish, if only because of its absence lately. The way things are now, this is almost a gift. So, when it all ends with the loud shuffling of foot from the ascending hallway, a sigh is all that leaves me. There's no need for me to look up to know who it is. Zach's treads alone are telling. There's always a weighted set to them, steps that are taken with a lazy cadence. Like he's always trying to make himself smaller, less conspicuous than he actually is. In a place he's unfamiliar with, he also tends to linger, stand awkwardly at the sides, as if he's all too afraid to break something. That, or he's waiting for permission of some kind. Either way, he's never been the kind to barrel headfirst into things, or forego courtesy, despite appearances. Much like how Rebecca's mother henning belies her fiery temperament, or Isabella's rare displays of maturity appears at odds with her youth. There has been a lot of those in my life, it seems. More so from the people I've grown closer over the years. Walking contradictions, we all are. It's a wonder how we ended up as friends in the first place. But maybe that's exactly why, to some extent. There's still an understanding in there, in knowing. No matter how long you've been together, or how familiar you are with a person's habits, or how many lifetimes there might be for all of you, one can never fully know a person. Sometimes it works because they merely choose to stay. Sometimes it's as simple as someone extending a hand first for an apology, regardless of every hurtful word said.
Hey, Ash?
This time I glance at him, briefly, gauging the mood. Not because recollection's an issue for me, because it will never be. It never will be. There we go. But somehow, this is another thing I'm all too afraid to see crumble in front of me. One wrong word, for this is going to end in another argument we might as well stop as early as now. There's another long pause for him, during which he can't seem to figure out what to do with his hand. In the end, he chooses to stuff both into his pockets and trains his eyes on the now empty space behind the counter. Without our notice, G has slipped back into the kitchen, leaving only the two of us and everything awkward in the world at the moment. Still, Zack trudges on, a hopeful tone slipping into his voice, simply because it's the only thing he knows how to do.
Did you, get any sleep?
It's a start, at least. A stiff one, but a start. At least I can offer in return that a rare honesty.
For a few hours, yeah.
Curt, brisk, not an ounce of friendliness in it. In spite of it, Zack takes it as a sign. Relief washes over him as his shoulders relax, and he releases a tense breath. Soon he's closing the distance he has put between us and flops into a chair to my right.
I think the better question is if the dreams are pleasant. And for the record, no.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get those a lot.
He shifts in the seat, coughs, drums his fingers on the counter for a short while, then falls silent. That's it. No apologies. Somehow, the short exchange is all we need. The air changes again, much like everything we've known lately. Maybe not for the better, not yet. However, it's less suffocating, with less hostility and resentment, the kind where it's easy to pretend, easy to forget. Not that it's a thing that'll happen anytime soon, but one can dream. In a situation where death might come knocking at any time, it's these little hope we can cling to. It's these little things we wish will happen again. And I'm not an optimistic person by nature. Hopeful maybe, but never optimistic. Though I want to believe there's a way we'll live through this nightmare. It's just funny how it took all of this to spur these kinds of thoughts in me. I can't even remember the last time something like this has occurred to me. For some reason, after seeing one harrowing thing after another, I've simply forgotten.
Why are you suddenly smiling like that?
Huh? Oh, no, I was just thinking about something.
Well, it better be something that'll get us out of this mess.
What makes you think I know how to fix this? Until 2 days ago, I didn't even believe a word you guys have been telling me. Zach, I function better when I'm dealing with homicide cases. Hell, feel free to throw in the usual robbery and missing persons case into the mix. I don't care. Give me a few days and I'll give you a lead. This isn't how I operate. This isn't what I'm good at. For all you know, I might even end up getting us killed. I have no idea what I'm doing.
At you're
Well,
honest.
the fact that you're frustrated but still trying already means something, Ash. Besides, you don't make that face unless you already have an idea. And it can't be any worse than this. Maybe. What's on your mind, Ash?
There's really something about Z-Man. Between Rebecca and him, I tend to share with him things I won't normally say to the other. Unlike her, who pushes sometimes the same tenacity as her moods, Zach has this strange tendency to ease people into telling him what he wants to know. Oftentimes, the question feels so subtle it catches me off guard. Less force and more forbearance. After all, out of everyone, he's the most grounded. Really, he's like the older brother I never had. The kind you can depend on when things go sour. The kind you tell things to simply because he'll listen without forcing his opinions on you.
We still have one more lead we haven't checked. I'm gonna look into it tonight.
It doesn't take him long to put two and two together, and his calm expression abruptly dissolves to worry the second he realizes what I meant. We've already examined the letter, read through piles of documents. There's really only one we haven't given a chance once over: the mansion. Of course, Zach may not be the kind to push, but that doesn't mean he agrees with everything that comes out of my mouth. It's his way of keeping me steady and on my feet throughout the years.
Hold on, didn't you tell me not to go in there? Whatever happened to stay away from Luke Wright?
Yeah.
You're an unarmed civilian, Zach.
And so?
Yeah.
So, I want you to stay here and keep yourself safe. I probably won't take too long, but I don't know what might happen. I'm not even sure if I'll find something in there. G will keep an eye on you guys. If you need anything, if that woman shows up, just holler. He'll help out, no questions asked. You don't even need to explain anything.
He's not willing to concede. Not from the manner he grips his knees or the rigid set to his jaw.
I'm going with you. You can't go in there alone, Ash. I heard something. The morning I was there, I heard someone scream, and then there was a woman crying, and I don't know what's going on inside that mansion, but I am telling you, you shouldn't face whatever's inside alone.
You can wind up dead. Before I can stop myself, a heavy breath escapes from my mouth. It's one of those times again, when Zach means well, but he's completely missing the point I'm trying to make. When things take a turn for this, when he gets in a mood like this, he's almost as headstrong as Isabella. How and where do I even start? Okay. There are only two ways this will end. I agree with him and take him with me, or I agree with him and drop the idea altogether. Neither appeals more than the other, especially when we're all desperate for answers and a way out. If all it'll take is a little more honesty to make him drop this harebrained idea, so be it.
Look, man. Bro. Z-Man. Zach. Zachary, listen. I know you only want to help.
Like hell! This ain't just about helping, Ashton! You're throwing yourself in the thick of it, on your own! Was your fall last night really that bad? Did you hit your head hard? I honestly can't tell if you've gone stupid or just plain suicidal.
Yeah.
My head's okay, Zach. But it won't stay that way if we don't do anything about this. Someone has to.
Seriously, this is already a desperate move. The longer we dally, Master, we're losing our options. Do we even have one? Looking back at it, the whole business with the ghost seems perfectly set up to drive us into a corner. Either until we lose our mind or she gets us. It's starting to feel as if there isn't an escape. We've already become her playthings the second Isabella found that letter. That our lives are in her hands ticks me off big time. But the idea of watching the people I care about die helplessly, more so. They're much safer here than with me. It's a selfish thought, I know, born out of fear. So in case things go awry, the very last thing I want to happen is for Zach to take the fall with me. I've already made enough mistakes.
And that means it's just you.
Just me.
Suddenly, he clams up. Although his actions, the restless shift in his shoulders, his mouth pressing close in a tight line, and how he starts off again in a quiet note. It all gives away his real thoughts, long before 2 words have ever made it out of his mouth.
I'm sure you already know about this. Maybe this is you trying to make amends, or whatever. I don't know. You're making your own decisions here. But if something happens to you, it'll be just that. You'll just be another dead body out there.
Yeah.
Please, don't do something like this.
Don't worry. I'm not stupid enough to get myself killed. I just want things to go back to normal, Zach.
Another dead air follows the heels of that one admission. The meaning of my words, too heavy, too striking, still stuns us into another lull. Optimism aside, we're both aware that's impossible. We're going to have to deal with the trauma right after. There will be the images, the voice whispering inside our heads, the foreboding feeling, the stench of blood, gore, and death trailing after us. We may survive this, but those things, they will remain in us for a long time. One does not survive something like this without leaving something in you. Just the mere thought of that, of what that might come right after, makes me dread it. What this has changed in all of us. But I suppose that outcome is more acceptable, the lesser of 2 evils.
3 hours.
My head snaps up, and I turn to him, puzzled, staring at his hands with a thoughtful expression, brows furrowing in deep concentration. Like he's trying to choose the right words to convey what he's about to say.
3 hours? For what?
That's more than enough time to go there, to check things, like you said, and travel back here.
Yeah.
If you don't show up here beyond that, I'm going after you.
From his tone, it sounds almost like a warning. I'm sure it's not his intention. But hearing something like that from a person like Zach, I can't help but chuckle and throw in a jab, despite how dire things are. Just like the old times.
Make that 4.
What? You said you're just gonna check things.
Yeah.
Why would you even need that long?
Speed limit?
Speed limit.
I'm a ranked law enforcement officer, Zach. I'm supposed to set an example.
I so wanna punch you right now.
Of course, Zach never carries it out. In light moments like this, it's just how he is, how we are. Uh-oh. Unfortunately, G chooses the next moment to show up. He slams the flat of his palm on the counter and shooting both of us a stern look. Although his tone's nothing short of jovial, the disapproval's clear in it. He's obviously misunderstanding the situation.
Boys, drummer's nice and all. I used to watch these bloody god-awful afternoon serials with one of my brothers many, many years ago. But listen, I am not having one in my pub, all right? You two want to fight? Go out.
pregnant pause. What? Then, without any permeable, Zach and I are both snickering and G's our meets into confusion. When we both show no sign of stopping, he simply shakes his head and turns away. I like to think it's better this way. But better that we part on light terms so Zach won't have to see little insecurity. To see every little insecurity, every little doubt in me right now. Oh, that's cute. Zachary's arrival interrupted Ashton's conversation with G. Left alone, the two attempted to mend things between them, only for things to almost turn sour after. Ashton revealed his plans to return to the mansion. His friend eventually acquiesced I can't say that word. After Ashton agreed to a time limit. He's seen enough. The last thing I want him to glimpse is another display of weakness. Now when he still stares at me with the same unerring confidence in his eyes. When our mirth dies down, before anything can be said further, before I change my mind, I step away from him. Give Zach's shoulder a quick few pats, mumbling a lame excuse about taking another short nap under my breath. Altogether, burrowing the stray thought that flashes fleetingly in my head. Zach has seen me at my lowest plenty of times. Why does all of it matter now? Okay, I'm gonna leave that here. Okay. Getting ready, set, go to head to the mansion. Oh my god. And so many questions. My brain. It hurts my brain. Though I really do think we'll get, hopefully, more answers when we do Luke eventually, whenever that is. But yeah, here's another episode of The Letter. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I think with this, I'm actually going to do less editing. Mainly just, it gets these things out faster for you guys, and also less stress on my end. If you guys are okay with that. At least I hope you are. But yeah, anyway guys, this is CatDemon43, and I will see you all next time, and have a wonderful night, day, week, whenever. Bye!